All right, well, hello, and thank you for joining us for this year's live Q&A. My name is Stephanie Burke. I'm the Assistant Dean and Director of First Year Experience here at Lehigh, and we're excited that you're joining us in a few weeks, and we're excited that you're here tonight. We hope we can answer lots of questions for you and help make this process of moving in and getting oriented to campus a little bit smoother. So we are going to get started. We have a few panelists joining us today. And in just a moment, I'm going to let them introduce themselves so that they can start answering all of your questions. At the bottom of your screen, you should see a Q&A feature. So that's what we're going to be using tonight. If you have questions ready, please feel free to start typing those in. Please hang tight with us. We won't be able to answer all of the questions right away, so we will get to them as quickly as possible. We have the ability to type answers back as well, so we have some folks behind the scenes that will be helping do that. And so, like I said, just hang tight with us. We will try and get to everyone's questions as quickly as we can. So I'm going to go ahead. So we are going to use just, again, the Q&A feature. So I see that some folks are typing in the chat box, which is great. But just know that for us, we're going to be looking at the Q&A feature to gather your questions. So with that, we will get started by introducing ourselves. So Chris, if you want to kick it off and share a little bit about who you are and what type of questions you can answer tonight.
Sure, thanks. My name's Christina D'Aversa. I work in the Housing Services Office, and so I'm able to answer any questions that you have about housing or the amenities that come along with housing, and I can also answer your dining questions as well.
Great, thank you. And the students, do you all want to introduce yourselves?
Sure, is the sound all good? Awesome, sweet. So hi, my name is Eric Rizzi. I am a chemical and biomolecular engineering major. I'm from New York, about an hour north of New York City. I'm one of the orientation coordinators, which means that I assist with the selection and training of the orientation leader staff and the overall implementation of orientation for first year students. Before becoming an orientation coordinator, I was an orientation leader for 2 years. I worked with some of the transfer students. And in addition to working with the Office of First Year Experience, I'm also involved in Greek life, and I also have a radio show here on campus.
Hi everyone, my name is Sylvia Rosalo. I am a mechanical engineering major from California. I'm also an orientation coordinator, and in addition to working with the Office of First Year Experience, I am also involved in Engineers Without Borders, tour guiding, and I also do research on campus.
Hey everyone, my name is John. I'm also an orientation coordinator with Eric and Sylvia. Prior to being an orientation leader, I've been involved in a couple of mentorship groups on campus, and it's something that I'm starting to do this summer, and I guess going to the semesters that I'm working at the driving range and the golf course that Lehigh has on the other side of the mountain.
Excellent, thank you all. So don't forget, keep submitting your questions. We do have the first question about meal plans. And it says, do meal plans carry over for the week of prelusion and orientation? So Chris, I don't know if you want to explain when meal plans start, and then we can hop in about prelusion as well.
Sure. So when you arrive here, your meal plans officially start on Wednesday evening.
Saturday night.
I'm sorry, say it again.
So isn't it
Sunday evening? I'm sorry. Yes, Sunday evening. Anything for prelusion and orientation is covered by Steph's area, so I'll let her talk about that. But the fall meal plans will start Sunday, and then they start for the whole semester.
Yes. So whenever you move in, if you're moving in, so we have a few move-in days. I'll kind of kick us off with that as well. There's folks moving in at different times. I know our international students are coming for international student orientation, and they move in on Sunday, and our prelusion students and students who are participating in Marching 97 and maybe one other program on Monday. Most of our students will move in on Thursday, and all of those meals will be covered. So if you're in a prelusion program, then your prelusion coordinator has coordinated all of your meals for prelusion. And throughout orientation, we will have every meal is provided. So you will be eating well. But then your official meal plan will start in, as Chris said, later in the week. So there's some questions about if we're shipping boxes to campus, how would you suggest we transport them from the mail center to the residence halls? Students, if you want to talk a little bit about the mail center and how that works.
Yeah, sure. So all you have to do at the mail center is make sure that you have your student ID with you. And when you show up, you swipe it in. They have a machine there, and it'll tell you what you have waiting for you, and somebody will call your name out, and you just have to sign for the package. It's down by the bookstore in Farrington Square. And when you pick it up, you'll be all good to go, and you can bring it right to your residence hall.
In terms of getting it to your room, if you feel like your room is too far away, there are buses that you can take throughout campus itself, and there's an app where you can track the buses live to see where the closest bus stop is. If you feel like your package is really big and you want to carry it up, you don't want to carry it up, you can take the bus as well.
All right. Please keep submitting your questions. So if, while we're kind of getting kicked off and started, I don't know if you all want to jump in and talk a little bit about what your favorite part of Lehigh is, and just talk a little bit about some traditions or things that you love about Lehigh.
I guess I can start there because I didn't answer the last question. But I think one of my favorite things about Lehigh is just the opportunity to get involved in so many different opportunities. I think my first semester or two on campus, I was a bit hesitant to get involved in different clubs and organizations. And since then, I've really stepped out of my comfort zone. I've been trying a ton of new things. And that's how I've met so many people over on campus. And that's how I've made a lot of connections. It's nice because since Lehigh's a smaller school to an extent, I get to regularly interact with these people, whether it's when I'm walking to class or when I'm in a club or a different organization with them. I think that would be my favorite part about Lehigh. It's really allowed me to, I guess you could say, expand my horizon and learn a lot more, not only about myself, but also about others. If you guys want to talk about your favorite traditions or something like that.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I think the most obvious, but definitely the best tradition is the Lehigh Lafayette Rivalry Week here on campus. It's really something special and unique to Lehigh's campus. Professors really love to get involved. They're usually super into all the different traditions going on throughout the week. Like, for example, we have bed races every year on Wednesdays, which is exactly what it sounds like. Your team, you can submit a team of 5 students, and you compete against one another, racing a bed down Memorial Walkway, which is really cool. And the Marching 97, our marching band comes into the classes and they do what's called a flame, and they play them, they break into your classes and go stand on all the desks and play the fight song and stuff. I actually had a chemistry professor my first year. He brought his French horn to class, knowing that the Marching 97 was going to come. And he played his French horn with the marching band, that was something I'd never heard of at any other university. So that was pretty cool.
I think one of my favorite parts and something that really drew me to Lehigh initially was the international aspects of both having people not only from across the country but from a lot of different countries on campus, and I've been able to meet people from all over the world, which has been really cool for me, and being able to have international experiences through Lehigh. I know Eric's also spent a couple of summers abroad, and I just spent this last summer interning in France, and that was all through Lehigh funded programs. Opportunities like that and really encourage students to go abroad regardless of what major or college they're in.
Thank you. Do you all want to talk a little bit about, and Chris, feel free to hop in on this part as well, but I was thinking a little bit about what the move-in experience looks like when folks come to campus, and then expand on what orientation is like, what those 4 days kind of entails.
Sure. I guess we can start it off. So, yeah, from the orientation standpoint, you'll have there should be a lot of really big, colorful signs pointing you to where your residence hall is, to make that a little bit easier for where you're moving in. And you will be greeted by a group of orientation leaders, probably requesting you to pop that trunk and you will definitely notice us, and we will all be there to help you move everything in. Hopefully you won't even have to lift too much. There's also a few groups on campus. I know like Greek organizations get involved, and some of the Free students are also involved with move-in. So you're immediately exposed to a lot of different students on campus, a lot of different student groups, which is really cool. Chris, I don't know if I missed any big details with the move-in details.
And I'll just jump in and say that for students that are arriving on Monday for Prelusion or Thursday for orientation check-in, your check-in will be up at Iacocca. We'll get you checked in up there, and then, as you know, they already mentioned, we'll have signs that'll direct you down to your residence halls. We do ask that someone stays with the vehicles. We'll unload it very quickly, and then we'll get it moved off to the parking area so that you can get the rest of the day started. If you're checking in any other days besides the 19th or the 22nd, you've already gotten information from our office about the location and some more details about that check-in. But if you have any questions, you can contact our office with your questions, and we can help you from there.
Yeah. So you should make sure that you label, I didn't hear this, someone might have said it, but make sure you label all of your belongings with your name and your room number and your building, and that way, because it will all, as they mentioned, will happen very quickly, and folks will take the stuff out of your car and then it will get carried to your room. So make sure you label everything, and then we will, just for flow of traffic and making sure that everyone is able to move in as quickly as possible, we will ask that someone, as soon as the car is unloaded, that someone move the car, and that will be at a designated parking lot, and we will have direct signs that will direct folks to that parking lot, and then shuttles that will take the drivers back to campus, back to the main campus. So there is a question around, should I wait until my classes start before I purchase my books? Looking at you all.
Yeah.
Actually, if you go to the Lehigh bookstore website, you can type in your classes, and most classes will already show what books will be required for the classes. I think most semesters I've personally waited until classes started to purchase my books, but that can be kind of personal preference. Sometimes professors may reach out prior to classes with what you may need or what to be prepared for the first day of classes, but in terms of necessarily having to.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you're confident that you'll definitely be in that class, if you think it might be a class that you might switch out of, or maybe you might you're just trying it out maybe to see if it's a route you want to take, maybe wary of spending the money on a textbook because they can be a little pricey. But if it's something for your major or something that you're definitely confident that you're not going to switch out of, probably good to at least have your eye on it, and then maybe wait class just to make sure that it's necessary.
At the end of the day, your professors are going to start covering material either at the end of the first week or early in the second week. So the earlier you get the textbook, the earlier you have material to supplement what the professor is teaching. And that can never hurt, of course. It's always helpful to have something to guide you along the way when you're studying by yourself outside of class.
And the bookstore knows, they know what books you will need for class. They usually make sure that there is enough in stock for classes. They also price match, which is really good if you find it on Amazon or another website. They will price match it, so you can just head down to the bookstore. They know it's really busy during the first few weeks, so they have extra people and have a whole system for finding the books. If you want to either order them before and just pick them up, or go to the bookstore itself, there will be people that can help you find. A lot of times for the bigger classes, they know which books it is, so you don't even have to go online and just ask them, and they you probably need this one.
And in addition to those questions I'm seeing more questions about books. Do I need an actual physical copy, or PDFs okay? Your all's thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a personal preference. For me, my first year, I was able to find some PDFs of the textbooks really cheap online. I think I got my this textbook for like $6 in a PDF format. So sometimes it might be a cheaper option, but like there are definitely other times where like having the physical copy can serve a good purpose. Like, I don't know, being able to see some of the diagrams maybe, or just being able to quickly flip back and forth or write notes in the book. Kind of just comes down to personal preference. There's usually no requirement for one or the other. I've even had some classes where I've had like open book exams and professors still let us use the PDFs. You just have to like put your laptop on airplane mode or something along those lines. So it shouldn't be an issue.
And even then, if you are thinking about getting a PDF versus a hard copy, you could always just ask your professor and say, is it beneficial to have a hard copy over a PDF? And they'll always be transparent over that. I know last semester I had a class where the first half of the class, the professor was just highlighting different sections of the book. So that was definitely really beneficial to have the hard copy in front of me as opposed to scrolling through the PDF. But a simple conversation with the professor could definitely clear up an issue like that.
Same thing with renting, personal preference.
That also depends, like if it's a book specifically for your major that you know will be used a lot, sometimes it is useful to have it to be able to look back on. If it's a book that you might only use once and never look back on it again, depending on how much you want to spend renting or buying. I know for like the larger, like I've had classes that continue. So for my calculus classes, it was the same book for Calc 1, 2, and 3. But it all kind of depends on its personal preference, what you're required in your first classes. And those things may change from semester to semester. So
yeah, and renting lasts the whole semester too, so no need to worry about like the return date. I think is after the last final, so you'll have it for the whole semester.
Okay. Chris, there's a couple of questions here that I'm wondering if between the two of us, we might be able to give some answers around the vaccinations necessary and what that means for them receiving their ID card. So I caution, if you have a specific question about your personal situation, I definitely suggest calling the health center. But I think there's some questions here we might be able to answer. If your hard copy hasn't arrived, will you still be able to receive your ID card? And then there's also a question around if you haven't received all your vaccinations, will they be able to visit the health center and get these things done?
Yeah, sure. So in regards to getting your ID card and your key, the only vaccination that you have to have on file with the health center is either your meningitis shot paperwork or a waiver saying that you knowingly are not getting the meningitis shot. If that's not on file, hard copy, by the time you arrive to campus, you cannot pick up your ID or your key until you either complete the shot at the health center or sign the waiver. So those two, that will prevent you from being able to get your ID or key. Outside of that, any of your other health records that are required by the health center can be taken care of before you arrive, preferably, or within a couple of days after you arrive. So if you're arriving for international orientation on Sunday, while the health center might not be open on Sunday, you're able to go and take care of that paperwork on Monday.
Great, thank you. So there's a few questions around scheduling, and I'm trying to combine some, so forgive me. Maybe the students can talk a little bit about, one of the questions is there a time limit on how long we have to decorate our rooms? And I think some of that might refer to what does that look like on move-in day and the time when orientation starts. If y'all want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So actually, I have a copy of the schedules right here. With handy orientation times. Yeah, so you'll get a printed schedule when you check in up at Iacocca Hall, as well as this orientation times, which has a full schedule of the day. And you will have some time to decorate your room for sure, especially if you show up a little bit earlier in the day. You'll leave yourself some more room. But your first mandatory event isn't until 2:15. in the afternoon for your residence hall meetings with your Griffins. And so pretty much any time between when you show up and 2:15, you can spend decorating your room, or there's campus tours, or there's a big welcome lunch out on the front lawn. So it's really up to you for how long you want to spend doing any one of those things.
Yeah, so it kind of depends what time you get here. Like you mentioned, there's a welcome lunch. So there's like a big lunch out on the front lawn, which is kind of our main, green space. You can't miss it in front of a big university center. And then after that is when you go into orientation. So the kind of welcome lunch is kind of at the end of that when you say goodbye to your families, because you will, after that, you'll go to your meeting, your hall meeting, and then head right into orientation, and we'll be busy for the rest of the day. So again, there's a schedule. You mentioned you will get the printed schedule. There's also an app that we will let you know to download when you get here, and you can follow the schedule on there as well if you don't want to carry it around.
And that's not to say there's no free time during orientation as well. There is free time where you can continue to set up your room and you can hang up those posters or whatever you want to do. We're not going to keep you all day every day, so there definitely is time for you guys to continue setting up your room and organize it to your preferences.
And one of the questions related to kind of the orientation schedule was around, will they have a chance to meet with their advisor during orientation? Can y'all talk a little bit about what Friday looks like?
Yeah, sure. So there's actually a specific time built out exactly for that. So you'll have your college welcome and advising in the morning into the early afternoon, depending on your specific college. It will vary from college to college as to how long it'll take and what the advising looks like. Personally, when I went through my welcome in the College of Engineering, we had meetings with our advisors like directly following the welcome. So we pretty much like stayed in the same building and worked out our schedules and kind of, talked about some plans that we had maybe for a major, etc. I don't know, business school. Maybe.
Yeah, so the business school is similar. Essentially how it started, we go from, I'm looking at the schedule right now, it says from 10 to 3, so there's a lot of time to do this. You meet as, when I went through it, we met as an entire school first, or an entire college, so the whole first year college business, I guess, class, we all met together and they went through a couple mandatory things that we need to understand. And then after that, it was optional time to meet with your advisor, so it's not mandatory. You have a lot of free time from that 10 to 3, but we're also encouraging you to meet with your advisor during that time in case you have questions related to scheduling or future academics, anything really relating to your overall academic experiences when you have the chance to.
So kind of, it varies by the college, but there is time allotted where you will have that big welcome to your specific college and have a chance to kind of deal with those.
Chris, we have a few housing related questions. I'm going to lump them together because there's kind of what to bring, what not to bring type questions. So a few of the items that were specifically asked about about an Ethernet cord versus using the Wi-Fi, vacuums in the building, can you bring a Keurig or an electric kettle, and can you hang string lights? I can repeat some of those if you.
No, I think I got it all. So, in regards to the Ethernet cord, like we do have wireless in all of our buildings, in both the common areas and the bedrooms, but it's always good to have an Ethernet cord just in case the wireless ever goes out. But it's all been upgraded in the last 3 years, so it runs pretty fast. It's very similar speeds to when it is plugged in with a cord, but always recommend that that way if wireless ever goes down, you still have the ability to get online through Lehigh's wired system. Alongside that, I'll just throw in, we don't provide the Ethernet cords, so a lot of times students will ask us with TVs and with Ethernet cords, like, do I have to bring my own cable for my TV? And yes, you do. Like, we have live jacks available in the rooms for both cable and for your wired internet, but we don't supply the cable cords or the Ethernet cords. So Just make sure if you bring a TV or you do want to be able to log into Lehigh's wired internet, that you're bringing those cords. We have vacuums available in all of our residence halls, so you don't need to bring a vacuum, but we do typically only keep about 2 per building. So in your first year areas, our buildings range anywhere from about 150 people up to about 280 people. So 2 vacuums isn't a lot. So some students will still bring their own vacuum, but you don't need to. And then as far as like decorations, I will say that on the front of the welcome kit that you got from first year experience in May or whenever you were admitted, there is a nice packing list behind the calendar, which I always reference. So you can hang things, whether it's string lights or pictures. You just can't hang things on the ceiling, and they can't take up more than 50% of any one wall. In regards to appliances, you have to be a little bit careful. We don't allow anything that has a heating element. So no electric kettles, hot pots, hot shots that heat up water. But you can bring the single pod Keurig machines because they have an automatic shut off, and they're just made differently where they don't have the fire hazards that some of the other appliances have. So the basic rule is nothing with a heating element except irons with automatic shutoff and single pod Keurigs or hot water heaters in your rooms. If you want a full list of like what you can and can't have on campus, we have like our policies and procedures. It's called the GPO, and that's available on our website that you can actually take a list, or you can just email us in the housing office or call and just say like, can I have this? What can I can't have in regards to what you were thinking about bringing, and we can let you know.
I'm going to tack a few more on, even though you just told them where to find the information, but we saw a few more pop up while you were talking. So maybe if you just know the answer offhand, are there mirrors? Can they bring fans? And what self-defense type items are they allowed to carry, like pepper spray, or allowed to have pepper spray, teaser, that kind of thing?
Sure. So there's mirrors in the hallway, and some of the rooms have like medicine cabinets with mirrors on the front of them. If you go to the Lehigh housing page, all of our residence halls are laid out on those pages, and it'll tell you exactly what's in the room: beds, desks, dressers, and it includes medicine cabinets. If there's a medicine cabinet in the room, there's a mirror that covers that medicine cabinet. We don't do full-length mirrors on the back of the doors or in the rooms, but they are available on the hallways. So just know that.
Can they bring the over-the-door mirrors?
They cannot bring anything that hangs over the door of their room door that entrances from the hallway. So we don't allow over the door shoe racks or towel racks or mirrors or anything like that, because it can actually cause a jam between the door and the door frame. And at times in the past, it has actually locked students into the room. So it's not something that we allow. Refresh my memory, what was some of the other stuff? The self-defense stuff. So, I will say this. I do know that you're allowed to carry pepper spray. I don't know if you're allowed to have taser or not. That would be something that you would need to check in with the University Police Department in regards to. You're not allowed to have anything that's considered a weapon. So pepper spray is not considered a weapon, but things like knives, obviously guns are, and I would refer the taser question to the chief of police to answer that.
And I know they can have fans. That was one question.
Yep, absolutely. You can bring fans. You cannot bring like a personal air conditioner unit. The only air conditioning that we allow is the air conditioning that we have or that we install.
Are there first aid kits provided?
There are not. We do recommend that you buy a small personal first aid kit or put it together. I think that's actually on the list that we supply in the welcome kit, if I'm not mistaken. But it's always a good thing to have like your own personal first aid kit.
I'm going to keep going with you, Chris, because there's also a Gold Plus question. So since we're on a roll, when will Gold Plus cards be available to be uploaded with money?
Sure. So your Gold Plus is actually your ID card. So the ID card that you get when you arrive here, it's your card that'll get you into your residence hall. It's your dining meal plan, your dining dollars, and it's also the card that you use for Gold Plus. So it is a one-stop shop. You could, if you've already submitted your picture for your first year ID, you could add dining dollars or Gold Plus now, and it'll be there when you get here. Gold Plus is active from the time that you get on campus. The dining dollars, as we talked about earlier, will be active when the meal plan goes active, which is right before classes start. But you can add stuff now to that as long as you've submitted your photo ID for your ID card. So I'll remind all of you on here, if you haven't done that, please get that submitted sooner rather than later so that we can get that printed, because you can't move into your buildings until you have an ID card.
Great. Students, can you tell folks, there were some questions around 5x10s and meeting with their advisor. Can you talk a little bit about Navigate LU and the 5x10s and what those are, and then also the opportunities for 5x10s during orientation?
So there are, during orientation, you have some opportunities to do 5x10. So we actually have some 5x10 seminars, which are led by professors, basically go in and they give a talk centered around, it really varies the topic and the interest of the professors, what topics are available for the 5x10, but you are able to complete a 5x10 during orientation. There's some free time, you can choose to do it or not. We strongly recommend just get it out of the way, you have that free time during orientation. So there's one opportunity to go to a seminar. There's also kind of a scavenger hunt that we have going on during orientation where you can complete a 5x10 by doing that. Some of you may be wondering what a 5x10 is. So we have kind of our office is centered around 5 foundations, and during the first 10 weeks of classes, you have to complete, we call them 5x10s, which are basically events. You have to complete 5 during the first 10 weeks of classes, so we just refer to them as 5x10s.
Yeah, and they're all, each event is centered around one of the different foundations. And essentially, kind of like what Sylvia was saying, they can be about just about any topic. I know like the one I went to during orientation, a chemistry professor made ice cream out of liquid nitrogen. It was really cool. So it could be like something really random like that. But yeah, they sort of vary. And then in terms of Navigate LU, this is a program that's designed to keep students, or to give students the opportunity to continue expanding their network after orientation. So during those first few weeks of class and just like being at college for the first time, that's usually the most like crucial time for forming relationships with friends, professors, just like your general community. So that's kind of just almost like an extension of orientation in a way, just to give you the opportunity to expose yourself to campus resources and different students and student leaders on campus to kind of just ease your welcome into the university a little bit more. So we don't just leave you right after orientation is over.
Great. Thank you. Chris, we have another specific question around the rooms. So are rugs recommended? Since you may answer this as well, just from your experience in the residence halls. Are rugs recommended, especially in the colder months? And kind of, if so, what's kind of like the recommended size?
I think it's a totally personal preference. So none of our first year buildings have carpet in the bedrooms. So it is tile floor. Up to you and your roommate if you have one, if you want to do a rug. 5x7 fits great in almost all of our rooms in between the beds. But if you want to get even more specific, you can actually look your individual building up online. You can see the dimensions of your actual room using the floor plans and then kind of plan appropriately from there. I think a lot of our students will wait until they get here, see the room, see, how they want to get it set up, and then they'll go and purchase, an area rug for what they're looking for.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I guess to just provide some personal insight on that, the tile can definitely get a little cold during the winter, especially if you're getting up, you don't want your feet to be touching cold tile maybe the first thing in the morning. So yeah, kind of like what Chris said, maybe just like a small area rug or peel it out, whatever you prefer.
Or slippers next to your bed.
Yeah, exactly.
There are some questions around bathrooms, Chris, and I know that might look different in the different halls. So I'll give you the questions and then you can explain how many showers are in the bathroom, how are they set up, how are the toilets set up, those kinds of questions.
Sure. So I'll give you a broader overview, but I'll tell you that we spent a lot of time this summer doing some video work, which isn't quite up on our websites, but available to share. So if you send an email to our office, I'd be more than happy to share the videos. So we have a video for each first year area bathroom, which will help you see the layout. But the bathroom to toilet or person to shower ratio is proportionate to what the code is, which I believe is like 1 to 18 students per area. So most of our bathrooms have anywhere from like 2 to 3 showers, 2 to 3 toilets, depending on the size of the floor. You don't need to bring your own shower curtains. We provide the shower curtains. Some of the bathrooms have actual shower stalls and partitions. So we'll provide all of that for you. Again, if you want to send our department an email, we'd be happy to share the video with you. You can actually take a tour of the bathroom that's in the building that you're living in. And then in regards to the personal items, like do you need a safe for your personal items? It's student preference. Like a lot of our students will bring like a personal safe, or they'll rent a safe from the company that does the refrigerators and micro fridges for us. They also have safes, but it's a small number of students that actually rent from that company. I can't answer how many students might bring their own safes outside of that, but I think if you lock your door and you have good conversations with your roommates, like you're providing a good level of security. But I would say, I defer to the students too on the panel in regards to that question and their opinion on whether you need to have a personal safe in the residence also.
I can answer that. I never really thought much about that until I got there, and I was never uncomfortable. My roommate was a great guy. My floor they were just all awesome. I trusted all of them, but at the same time, there was that level of personal security that I wanted to have. So I got a little, probably like a 5x10 little lockbox. You have a key that you just put somewhere safe, and then whenever you want to get into the box, you use the key yourself. I just put whatever was important to me, some valuables in there. And I found that to be helpful, but at the same time, I never had security issues in my room, my hall, or just the building in general.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, my roommate brought a safe, and it's definitely a personal thing because no matter how much that we can assure each other that like we'll keep it safe, like you never know what people are gonna do. So
I never had an issue with that either,
yeah.
And like I didn't bring a safe or rent one out, and I've never had an issue personally.
Because you can lock your door, like your own door within your hall. You can lock, so it's.
You can even set it to like the door will lock automatically behind you, so you don't have to worry about locking it as you're leaving if you're concerned about that. So there's like always the security measure of your door being locked. It just depends. Again, it's personal preference.
Great, thank you. Regarding the question about health center, so there's questions around, can we go to the health center to get shots during orientation? So typically our health center is represented at check-in, and so we'll typically be scheduling appointments if there are shots that you need. But yes, the health center is open that week, and we'll be seeing folks to help them take care of all those needs. Questions around, do we need to bring curtains?
Totally personal preference. So all of the windows in the first year areas have mini blinds, but if you'd prefer to decorate around the mini blinds with curtains, you absolutely can. Just don't forget to bring like a tension rod to hang the curtains, because when you get here, you'll see that there's no area mounted for you to hang the curtains.
Yes. And Chris, also, are there keys for our dorm rooms, or is it an access card? So if you can talk a little bit about what that looks like.
Yeah, so right now we're still using the key system. And so when you arrive here, you will get a key to your physical bedroom. The ID card that you get will work for access into the building itself. So the exteriors of the buildings are on access. The interiors are still on the key system.
Students, if you can help us out. So there's a question around kind of what kind of attire happens during orientation. So the question is, do we have to wear Lehigh shirts during orientation? But you might expand that even a little bit more to what that looks like throughout the 4 days. And
so it's not like you don't have to wear Lehigh gear on your first day or like necessarily. So when you first get here, we will actually give you a Lehigh shirt. So every year you get like a class shirt, so it's like the Lehigh shirt, and then on the side it has your class flag. And the only time you really have to be in Lehigh gear is for our alumni rally. So everyone wears their Lehigh shirts, and we have a big event where we have the last 50 classes of Lehigh graduates that come. There's a lot of Lehigh graduates, getting everyone excited, kind of welcoming you into the Lehigh family, and that's when you would have to wear your Lehigh shirt. It's kind of a sea of brown where everyone is wearing their Lehigh shirt. It's going to be exciting seeing all of the Lehigh alumni walking in with like their class flags. So you see a lot of like Lehigh history and Lehigh traditions that have carried on throughout the years. So that is when you would have to wear your Lehigh shirt. Other than that, attire.
It's encouraged. It's always encouraged.
Always.
Just dress comfortably, I guess. So some of the days are going to be on the longer set end. So just dress comfortably. The other thing is that on Sunday afternoon, there's a whole university convocation. It's really cool because it's one of the few times that, similar to the alumni rally, where your entire graduating class is going to be together. I think, what is it, aside from graduation, the alumni rally, the kickoff, and the convocation are the few other times your entire class is together. So that's a really cool aspect. But for that, we ask that you wear business attire. Girls wear a little more, but guys, I typically just wear a dress shirt or a jacket with some nice pants and some nicer shoes. We're not keeping you in that all day. It's not too long of an event. Definitely encourage everyone to dress nice and fat because it is a really nice event, and there are a bunch of speakers that come that are really interesting.
Yeah, for the girls, you can also wear either like slacks and a nice shirt, or I know it's summer, it's still hot. A lot of times, a nice dress. Still be pretty comfortable, but keeping that professionalism. And I know there will be the orientation leaders that will more than happy to answer like what to wear if you have like day before questions, and give you kind of more examples of what they would wear. I know in the past years I've just worn that like nice dress and some flats. You don't need to go full out with the heels, but if you want to, go all out also.
Yeah, we'll always remind you when you have to wear a certain attire. It's only those 2 times that we mentioned, but we'll always give you the heads up of when that's happening so that you're not blindsided or that you don't forget it.
Thank you. Got a couple more housing questions on Q. Do your residence halls provide water fountains and water dispensers?
So we do. Most of our first year areas have water fountains, and then we've also retrofitted water fill stations into the water fountains. For the ones that don't have water fountains in them, they just have the water fill station. So everybody's able to kind of fill a reusable water bottle, and we recommend bringing a reusable water bottle with you in your residence hall.
And how insulated are the rooms in the winter?
That's a tough question to answer. I mean, they're residential structures that were built and they're insulated, but they're also older buildings. So, varies from building to building. The heat systems work differently in all the buildings. But we always tell students is that, we guarantee that the temperature in their rooms is going to be between 68 and 72 degrees with maintenance and the staff that works here on campus. So if you have any heating issues, they're responsive 24 hours a day. As long as your room's between 68 and 72, we'll maintain that temperature for you. So if you're a type of person that loves hot in the wintertime, like we'll say, bring slippers, bring a robe, bring a blanket, because your room might be 68 degrees. But throughout the system, we maintain that. So.
Okay. All right, students, we have some questions around Are there buses to any nearby malls or shopping? Do students Uber there? Can they use the Zip cars? So can you talk a little bit about the surrounding area and how you get out there and some of the services that we provide out to those areas?
Yeah, so they actually just changed the bus system this last year, and it was already super extensive, but now it actually has a route that goes right into South Bethlehem, which is really cool. So it has stops like right within some of the bigger shopping areas on the south side, which is really nice. And in addition to that, yeah, there's buses that actually go directly from the residence halls or nearby the residence halls to Lehigh Valley Mall and Walmart, Target, the movies, yeah, places like that that run just about, I'm pretty sure every weekend, right? Yeah. And so, yeah, and yes, like Uber and Lyft are both available as well. It's pretty extensive around this area. And you want to talk about the rental?
Yeah, there's also enterprise car share on campus. So you can rent out, it's like you sign up online. So if you just Google Lehigh enterprise car share, you can do that as early as now, I believe. And you sign up online, you'll get kind of a card. All you need is a license application, like valid US license. And then you sign up online and you can reserve the car for 15 minutes, 3 hours, even a whole day. And you can rent that. I know Lehigh really subsidizes the cost, so there's been times where I rent a car for like $5 an hour, which is really nice. I just want to go pick up some snacks from my room, or if I want to go on a nearby hike with my friends, I've also rented that. I've also, one time I rented a car for a whole day and went into New York City for the day, and splitting it within friends. It's like really easy to get around, but you also don't need the car aspect. Like Eric mentioned, there's a bus that will take you to Walmart, the mall, movies, and there's also plenty of things to do on campus always and in walking distance. You know, I know my first semester I was
And for all those buses that you spoke about, there was a question around, do you just hop on the bus or are there tickets you have to buy?
No, you're good. You can just hop right on, and they actually run, there's one bus system that runs strictly around campus and like the south side, and then there's there's buses that run mountaintop campus, which as it sounds is right on top of the mountain. That's where you'll check in your first day. And then there's also buses that run over to Goodman campus, where the majority of the sporting events are. So you never really have to worry about getting around campus. They run every 10 or 15 minutes or so. You're never really waiting too long, and they're all spread out across campus really well. And just one additional thing too, aside from Lehigh's transportation services, there's also a lot of like local bus services that can take you to further places away, like big local cities, so like New York City or Washington D.C., Philadelphia. There's bus services that can take you there for a pretty inexpensive price that are walking distance from campus, which is really helpful for getting home for breaks or maybe a concert or something.
But the buses to like Walmart, the mall, movies,
all free.
It's all through Lehigh, so you don't have to worry about tickets for that. That's just.
Can you all talk a little bit about, there's a question, do you recommend bringing a computer printer? Maybe talk a little bit about how that works on campus, to the printing system too.
Yeah, so you could always bring a printer. I brought one my first year, but I also found that I didn't use it that often. So how it works is that for each semester you're at Lehigh, you're subsidized $75 worth of printing at the libraries, at the academic buildings, basically across campus. $75, I thought it didn't sound like a lot, but I've never gotten below the 50. Like, I print a ton for all, you have to print like your PDF textbook. I print a lot at school, but I also find that the $75 is always enough. And there's always an academic building or a library within a 2 or 3 minute walk where I could go there to print something in a pinch if I needed to. So I've definitely never had problems with that. But I wouldn't discourage you from bringing your own printer.
Yeah.
Again, I guess that kind of ties back to a personal preference where a lot of these questions have landed.
Yeah, in addition to that too, something that recently was installed around campus is called PaperCut. So it's an app that you can either download on your phone or you can access it online if you just like search Lehigh PaperCut. and you can remotely print to the academic buildings or library. So say if you were like, I don't know, like late to class or something and you needed to print something quick, you can pull it up on your phone and send it to a printer in the library. And when you walk into the library, it should be there waiting for you, which is pretty convenient a lot of the time. Or if maybe you're just like on a different floor of the library. And, yeah, so there's
you can print from your own laptop or any like your phone, tablet.
Make it as convenient as possible.
Excellent, thank you. Well, we are coming close to the end of our time. We're starting to wrap up. I was thinking we could ask one more question of the students. Perhaps your parting advice from tonight of one thing, either one thing you wish you knew or one piece of advice you have for the students coming in.
I kind of alluded to this earlier, but something that I really wish that I had done my first and second semester was just get involved more. And you hear it from everyone. My parents were saying it, my orientation leader, people that I were meeting on campus were all saying get involved. And I was real reluctant and hesitant to, just because I wasn't, maybe the word's comfortable, I wasn't too excited to get out and do that much. But as soon as I got out and I started joining these clubs and organizations and meeting all these people, I realized just how much I was missing for that time. And I know college is 4 years. It might seem long, but it's really short. Make the most out of it while you're here. Like, go out of your way to make new friends. Go out of your way to try something new every now and then, because it'll really take you a long way. I guess that's the biggest advice I would give.
Kind of along those same lines, like maybe just to like one short piece of advice that kind of changed a lot of things for me was like while I was in my room, like somebody said buy a doorstop and keep your door open, and that's actually how I ended up making some of my best friends. Was just like people walking by and like maybe seeing a poster on your wall, or like maybe you're listening to music that they like, and like someone popped by and was like, oh, like, you know, like whatever. And so I ended up making like some of my best friends just from either like hanging out in the lounge in my residence hall, or keeping the door open both physically and as John was explaining. So yeah,
definitely. Just, I know all the orientation leaders are really excited to welcome everyone on campus. I know my first year when I was like on my way to campus, I was super excited and just following along the same trend, like being open to everything. And it's like during those first 2 weeks, everyone like kind of just wants to make friends, may feel like some people already are coming in with friends, but really everyone is just kind of thrown in and doesn't know what they're doing. I know one time, I think it was still during orientation, I was just like in line and turned around, asked someone like, hey, what's your name? Yeah. Turned out it was a student from Egypt. Which is like, you never know like who's standing in line behind you, and to this day I'm still friends with them. So yeah, amazing like 4 years, but we're all started last year here. It's great.
Sit with random people at the dining hall too, especially the first few weeks. It's fun. It's a good time.
Don't be afraid to do small things like that. Say hi to someone, sit with them at the dining hall. Because even if they don't act it, everybody is in the same shoes when you get there. Everybody's still, they are trying to figure out what they like. They're trying to figure out who they're going to spend all their time with. So it's not going to hurt to just shoot someone a quick message or say, hey, let's grab some lunch and sit down somewhere. It'll go a long way for sure.
Thank you all. You all had some fantastic advice. So as we're wrapping up, I want to thank our panelists for sharing some really great insight, answering everyone's questions. You all did a fabulous job. I hope that you all that tuned in found this very helpful. Please know that the Office of First Year Experience is here to answer your questions. So if you didn't get something answered or you think of a question a little bit later, we are open 8:15 to 4:45 every day, and we're happy to answer those questions. 610-758-1300 or fye@lehigh.edu if you have more housing questions. I know Chris and the Housing Services team are happy to take those phone calls and emails as well. Everyone here at Lehigh is so excited for you to get here and for you to answer your questions to make this a very smooth transition. Did I forget anything from my panelists? To share.
We're super excited to meet you guys.
Yeah.
We are very excited. We know you'll be here very soon. So thank you so much again for tuning in. Don't hesitate to reach out with more questions, and we will see you soon.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.